Alright neighbors, enough about real estate, let's get to grilling. Hey neighbors, this month I'm going to show you how to make a Beercan chicken. It's a nice barbecue classic. If you've had it before, you know it's nice and tender and juicy, very flavorful. If you haven't had it before, this is a great recipe. What you do is you season the chicken. We're going to take a can mostly full of beer and stuff it right into the cavity there. It'll sit upright in the smoker. And then basically that beer is going to steam and help cook the chicken and flavor it as well. A few things you'll need to make this recipe. You're going to want a can of beer. Also, I picked this up at Walmart, but you don't need this. The chicken will stand up on its own, but this will make sure it's nice and sturdy. It's a little rack. The beer can will go right in there. The chicken goes right on top. Kind of makes it foolproof, but you don't actually have to have one of those. You're going to need a couple cups of chicken stock. You'll want one of these flavor injectors as well. You're going to want some cooking spray, and then your seasonings. And you can season this with anything that's poultry friendly. We're going to do a two-step method for seasoning. What we're going to do is a little bit of seasoned salt as a base, and then I basically made my own little chicken rub here. I used pink sea salt, little black pepper, we got onion powder, garlic powder. I used some lemon peel, as well as oregano and some paprika. That paprika is going to give it that nice barbecue color. But first thing we're going to do is go ahead and just give it a little coat of that seasoned salt. Alright. Hit it on the back. Hit it on the back. Alright, before we go on to the next layer of seasoning there, I'm going to go ahead and just hit it with a little bit of that cooking spray. That cooking spray is actually going to help my seasoning to adhere to the chicken there and get that skin to be nice and crispy. Really, you want to have a nice bite-through skin when you're doing barbecue chicken. We're going to cook this hot and fast on that smoker. I'm going to set that heat to about 300. Anytime that you smoke chicken, you want to do it at a higher temperature because you really want that skin to be bite-through. For the second layer, I just went ahead and put that in the shaker for ease of use. We're going to give this a nice coat. Get under those wings. Go ahead and get some down there in the cavity. After we get this standing up on the beer can, we'll hit all the spots where the seasoning comes off from us touching it and moving it around and whatnot as well. Alright. That's looking pretty well seasoned. And again, this is a 4.5 pound bird, so this is going to be a nice dinner for 4 or 5 people. Let's hit it one more dose of that cooking spray. From here, we're going to inject it with a little bit of flavor. Now you can use fruit juice or vegetable juice or whatever you want basically to inject the chicken. They have different chicken injecting kits that you can buy, that are pre-made. This is just plain chicken stock. I use those dissolvable cubes that you can pick up anywhere in the little blue jar. But this 2 cups there, and I'm just going to inject this bird with a little bit. Alright. So I'm going to try to hit this probably about 3 or 4 times along each breast. And you'll see that kind of puffs that chicken up some. Some of that's going to come out while you're cooking, and some of it's not. And that's no big deal, everybody. That's perfectly natural. Alright. Now again, I started with 2 cups of chicken broth. There's no way I'm going to use all this. But I'd rather have too much on hand than not enough. You can see that chicken's kind of swelling up. Now when you make your chicken broth, one tip that I would give you is make about 2 cups worth in 1 cup of water. And then after it's all dissolved, throw in ice cubes because you don't want to inject hot liquid into this chicken. You want it to be room temperature or maybe even a little bit cooler when you inject that into the bird. We're also going to go ahead and hit those thighs a couple times. And you can see through this whole process here, I'm definitely losing some of the seasoning on the outside, but we're gonna, after I stand that up, we're gonna go ahead and get that again. Let's get that other thigh there. I didn't end up using anywhere near that 2 cups. I only used about half a cup in that chicken, everybody. Here comes the fun part. Not so much if you're the bird, I suppose. Pour out about a quarter of the cup, about a quarter of that can of beer there. You don't want it to be all the way to the top. One other tip, you don't have to do this, but it will give you better results with the chicken. You want to take a pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of open up the top of that beer can a little bit more. That'll work. Alright, so there's no magic to this part here, everybody. We just stuff it on down on that beer can. Make sure you don't cut your fingers or anything on that beer can if you opened up that top a little bit more. Okay. Alright, see that? We're going to take these wings and just kind of fold them back some. Okay, that's about how we want it to sit in the smoker. Let's go ahead and hit it one more time with that cooking spray. If you tilt the plate like this, make sure you have something to catch that broth that is dripping out of the bird there. Alright, I think that's ready to go on the smoker. Alright everyone, so I'll be cooking this in my pellet grill, as usual. And by the way, you don't have to say anything about the apron. I know we stink this year. But so I've got this hovering right around 300. It's nice and smoky. You want to go a little hard on that smoke level. If you're using the Pit Boss, I've got mine set for P1. That's aggressive smoke, everybody. Alright. Gonna probe it right now before I go back inside. I'm thinking it'll probably take somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours to come up to temperature. All right, you're gonna want to put your probe, everybody, right there in the meaty part of that thigh. And we're gonna let that come up. That cooking spray protects that golden brown color. That's definitely what we want. It's looking good. Chicken's been on here for about an hour and 45 minutes. It's looking like it's up to temperature. We want it at 165. It's going to read a little higher in that thigh than it will in the breast. But remember to temp both places, everybody. So we got a 175 temperature right there in that thigh. Okay, so we're a little low in that breast. We're looking at about 163 in that breast right now. So I'll give this about another 5 or 10 minutes. That's actually dropped down to about 160. So we'll be giving this another 10 or 15 minutes. All right, it's time to take the chicken off. We're looking at about 165 in the breast, a little more than 175 in the leg. Time to take this off and let it rest. Okay, so we're gonna let this chicken rest right here on the cutting board just like this. We're not gonna touch it for about 15 minutes. Basically, as the meat cooks, all the fibers inside the meat constrict and really squeeze all the juice out of it. So if I cut into this right now, it would gush all over the place. I'll let this rest for about 15 minutes. The fibers will relax and hold that liquid a little bit better. It's going to be delicious. And then I'll show you how we're going to carve it. All right, so carving this chicken shouldn't be too tough. Should be nice and tender. As you can see, you're going to take your knife and just kind of slide it in there looking for that bone. And you'll notice that it's a little bit pinker than what you're used to for fried chicken or for other preparations. That comes from the smoker, everybody, and that's totally normal. All right. There's one leg. We're gonna do pretty much the same sort of thing with the wing there. Slice down and start looking for that bone. It looks like I lost one of them there. It's all right, it's all going to the same place. For the breast, we're gonna find that bone in the middle. Just stay just to the side of it. Slice down, you can still kind of feel that bone. All right. And then you just kind of carve down underneath. Now this is the one I want to try here. Let's slice into this a little bit. All right, that chicken looks nice and juicy. The skin is pretty crispy and golden brown. And you can see this is really, really, really juicy chicken here. It's absolutely delicious. You can taste the beer for sure, but it's very subtle, really pleasant. Goes well with the seasonings of the chicken. This is a great dish. It's gonna impress all your family and friends.